to our backyard. Samantha and I, my girlfriend, have been producing comedy shows for over a year now. We used to do them inside of this place called Ample Hills. This is not a comedy show, by the way. That would be illegal. This is just a place for people to come and appreciate comedy. Like a book club, but for comedy. A comedy club. Yeah, a bunch of the comedy clubs have already closed. You know what the really tragic part is? Is now, where am I going to take my comedy class? You know, I really divide my comedy career into two parts. There was before I took the $400 New York Comedy Club comedy class, and then after I took the $400 New York Comedy Club comedy class. I became a perfect comedian. Our neighbors have been surprisingly cool with this. We even have some people that will sit out on their balcony and watch the show. It's been pretty fun. I think when people watch this special, they'll really think to themselves, wow, that guy definitely took the $400 New York Comedy Club comedy class. There's no way he did it. Yeah, so for social distancing, we've started seating people in our shed, which we found they're not especially comfortable with. But we found that they like it much better now that we've added this giraffe. We put a giraffe in the shed.
Everyone start clapping right now for your headliner, Nick Howard!
One more time for Hannah, everybody. Thanks for give it up for him. Thank you guys so much for coming to this. That's so nice. I wouldn't have come to this. This is sketchy. Because what information did you guys have? I had people reach out like, where is the venue? And we're like, we're not fucking telling you. You'll find out the day of. Really, all you guys knew is there'd be beer and cameras. Let's do it. Let's do it. See what happens. You guys are in a fucking shed. That's crazy. Did you guys notice the giraffe? Thank you. We have a giraffe, and none of you do. So yeah, crazy times. I have noticed everybody's all upset. You know that the pandemic has been all politicized. Right? Ooh. I think it's fun. We should politicize more diseases. Spices them up, right? Like imagine, what if they politicized gingivitis? How fun would that be? You go to the dentist, they're like, you need to floss more. I'm like, get that socialist string out of my goddamn mouth. Trump 24, and then I spit blood or whatever. It would be fun. I have been trying my best to follow all the advice, the guidelines, you know, the masks and stuff. The only piece of advice I don't like is they say if you're sick, you should stay home and get lots of fluids. You know, I don't like fluids. That's a really icky way to say water that they only say when you're sick. You know, you're feeling really bad, and they're like, okay, get lots of fluids. And you're like, okay, so I'll drink gasoline and cum. And they're like, no, water. And it's like, well, you said fluids. I've never been to a restaurant where they're like, would you like some more fluids with your solids and chunks? So I went home. I was with my parents for most of this, and I was really worried about gaining weight, right? Because I don't know if any of you guys are going to relate to this, but my thing is when I gain weight, it all goes to my nipples. Okay, no. They start to droop. You know, like they look sad. That would be the best way to put it. Like, do you guys remember learning? Do you guys remember learning that the male nipple has no biological function? You know, my nipples look like someone just told them that. And they're like, oh no, I just wanted to help the kids. You know? And they're not even circles anymore. They start to change shape. You know, I get jealous of all these in-shape guys with their perfectly flat circle nipples. Like a penny, they're incredible. My nipples look like if you took a penny and put it into one of those like commemorative penny press things. I've got these like welcome to the botanical gardens nipples. You know? I was worried. I was so worried about it. I even tried doing the keto diet, which, if you guys don't know, you basically just replace eating carbs with listening to Joe Rogan's podcast. Yeah. Oh, and my girlfriend was giving me a bunch of shit about it, you know, because she said it's a fad diet and that any weight I'm losing on keto is just water weight, which that is mean. Okay, to come up to me after my 8th hard-boiled egg of the day and just be like, "You're not thin. You're dry." I got my dad to start doing keto with me because he's had weight problems for a long time. I was really worried about him, and he did keto and he started losing weight. And I told him I was proud of him. Any you guys ever done that? You ever told your dad you're proud of him? It's not right. I was like, "I'm proud of you," and he went, "Okay." And I was like, "Now I'm your dad. I'm your dad now. Go to bed." I don't know. You shouldn't let people know you're worried about them. It's so uncomfortable. They just fuck with you. Like, my dad knew I was freaked out about his weight, so he kept saying all this weird shit. One time he sat me down and he told me he had this doctor's appointment where they checked his prostate. And he said he had these glands that were swollen and that could indicate prostate cancer. I was like, "Oh, shit." And then he goes, "But it could also indicate that I have ejaculated recently." And I was like, "Okay." And then he winked at me and he went, "Your old man's going to be just fine." I was like, okay, you're my dad again. Fine. No, being home, I really got to look at my parents through kind of adult eyes. You know? Like, I never realized how much my mom worries. When I came back to New York, she was so afraid I was going to get mugged that she made me download an app that lets her track my location, and then it's like a distress button, right? So that way if someone tries to mug me in New York City, my mom in Richmond, Virginia will know immediately, right? They're like, "Hey, give me your money," and I'm like, "It's too late." I push the button, and any second now, my mom is going to mute the TV. Like, if you don't get out of here, she's going to wake up my dad, and I swear to God, he'll tell her to figure it out. No, my mom, if I ever miss 2 phone calls in a row, she assumes I've been murdered. My dad's the opposite. I think he could get a call from the police where they say I've been murdered, and he would just be like, "Oh, boys will be boys." You know? I wish they could, I don't know, meet in the middle a little bit. Like, I think I do it right. I have a girlfriend. She'll be out late. She'll miss calls. I don't not care. You know, I'm not like, "Oh, whatever, I'll hear from her when I hear from her." But I also don't jump to that she's been killed, right? I split the difference and assume she's been wounded. You know? She'll be home, but she'll be different. You know what I mean? Kind of she'll walk funny. You guys know, I won't love her as much. You guys, because she'll be a burden. The biggest thing I noticed with my parents is, and I never noticed this when I was growing up, but they don't seem to call each other by their names. Almost ever. They only refer to each other in terms of their relationship to me, if that makes sense. So my mom would be like, "Oh, your father's in a mood again. You know, your father." And it makes me feel weird. It makes me feel like my dad's a lame friend who I invited to the party, but like nobody else wanted. All right, your father. It's like, "Mom, we met through you." No, being back home, I was like in my old room and stuff, and I saw you know what I tried? Have any of you guys tried praying? But like, no, but like, as an adult, it's so weird. I tried it. I tried to pray like how I did when I was a kid, you know, because I grew up religious, and I really went all out, right? I got down on my knees at the foot of my bed, and I lit all these candles, and then I drew this pentagram in goat's blood. And everything. I was like, "What am I, 6? It was ridiculous. Couldn't even find my ritual dagger. It was so goofy." No, that's not okay. I actually did grow up Catholic. I went to Catholic school, which was normal, by the way. It wasn't. People were always like, "Oh, I want to get to fuck you? Yeah, no, nobody. It was normal. Okay. The only weird part was I had a religion class where they taught religion as though it was history, and it was really strict. I remember there was one day there was this girl in my class who raised her hand. I guess her dog had died recently, and so she asked the teacher if she would be reunited with her dog in heaven, and the teacher said no. And then he put it on the test. Yeah, which by the way, I fucking nailed. I got it. I was like, Lauren will not be reunited with Peanut in heaven because he's a dog and she's a Jew. You know? I nailed it. A+. I think growing up, I stressed my parents out. Because I was one of those kids. I always felt like I was like too cool for school. You know what I mean? Like, like I do not believe you. No, that's what I felt. Well, especially when I was little. Look, I'll give you an example. All right, when I was really little, I took a test and they told me I was colorblind. And you know what I said? I said, "Good. I don't give a fuck." Was that yellow? All I care about is riches and bitches. I didn't even learn the names of all the colors. That's how little I gave a shit. We were in kindergarten, you know, all the nerds in the front of the class were like, "Oh, the grass is whatever," you know, the fire trucks, ugh, fucking nerds. I was in the back of the class, eating pussy. Because the only color that matters is blue, the color of money. Did that make sense? I don't know. No, I came back to New York for comedy, obviously. And I have found that everybody who is in New York City has a story about why they're here, right? And the only place I've noticed that is I took a trip to Vegas. And everybody who ends up in Las Vegas seems to also have a story. But the Vegas story is way better than the New York story. It's not even, because in New York it's like, yeah, I did this talent show when I was in high school, and my teacher told me I really had something, so I moved to New York to be a star, you know, as they finished their TaskRabbit assignment. But the Vegas story is great. They're like, yeah, I used to be a bouncer in Orlando, and one night I punched this drunk guy in the face, and technically he didn't die till he hit the ground, but that still counts as murder 3, you know? So, welcome to your hotel, right? I mean, I've been back here for a little while, but it doesn't even really feel like I'm living here because I don't go anywhere. I mean, my shows, I didn't even leave for the show. This is my home. Mostly what I do all day is I just keep watching documentaries. I've seen like 6 documentaries about the ocean now, and they're all exactly the same, and they all have an intensity that I do not understand. Every single one of them starts like, "The ocean is so fucking deep. Do you have any idea how deep? Look at me. Do you have any idea how deep the ocean is?" And you're like, "Is it really deep?" And they're like, "Not even close. Not even close, you idiot." The ocean is so deep. It's so deep that if you swam to the bottom of the ocean, the pressure would be so great that it would crush you. And you're probably thinking, "It couldn't crush my dad. He's the toughest, bravest man." Nope, it would crush your dad. And then, that's like word for word, by the way. And then, the rest of them, the rest of the documentary is that they try to shock you with the fact that fish get stranger as you swim deeper. You know, they're like, okay, when you swim at the surface, there's shrimp. Oh, okay. And then they go, and if you swim even deeper, there's not shrimp anymore. There's giant squid, and they are so big and so vicious that they actually hunt whales and could beat up your dad. Oh, and they'll even go so far as to say that some of these deep sea fish are so crazy that they couldn't. They're like aliens. They're not even from this world. They're so crazy, you know. And you don't even want to know what they're going to do to your dad. They're going to abduct him, and they're going to fucking probe his butt. Okay, just sort of ask. Do you guys know what I'm talking about with the aliens and the probing the butt thing?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. People know about it. Yeah, that guy was like, well, "Oh, I know personally. That happened to me, and I talk about it." No. Okay, but That's like a thing people know about aliens, which is crazy because that's a stereotype about aliens. You know, like in this country, we're actually stereotyping groups before we know if they exist. Right? It's like maybe there's aliens, but if there are, they're fucking. They're gonna get invaded, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, okay, all right." Anyway, so the documentaries, it's that every single one of them, normal fish, and then the fish get crazier, right? And I feel like we all already know that. I don't get why they keep making new ones of those. I would get making a new ocean documentary if someone discovered that if you swim even deeper than the crazy stuff, it gets like normal again. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so at the surface, there's shrimp, right? But then if you swim really deep, there's the giant squid and the aliens. But if you swim even deeper than that, there's a Macy's. Like, oh, shit, really? Is there parking? And they're like, oh, yeah. Pretty reasonable. I guess I get that we all just spent the last couple months watching TV. That's fine, no judgment. But I had a friend of mine who spent the entire time. They just pretty much rewatched The Office again for like the 10th time. Anybody do that? Yeah. Okay. Look, I've been really racking my brain. Who is that person? Who is the demographic of person who is rewatching The Office today? And you know who it is? It's cowards. What was your name? Fucking coward. Weak, cowardly people. I'm not sure if you're on board. I'm going to keep going. Coward. Because if you're watching The Office today, you don't even want to watch a show. Not really. You just want something that makes you feel safe and familiar, but you're too shitty to just call your mom. That's what it is. She'd really like to hear from you, and you're like, nah, 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 nah. It's pathetic. She just got 23 minutes older, and you missed it. And you know what? It's even creepy watching these people watch The Office because they've seen it so many times they don't even laugh anymore. They don't. They just it's on and they kind of have this like, and then when there's a joke they like pee a little. Like, I think the problem is that everybody gets to work from home now, which I get. People love it. People have always loved working from home. You know, That's even true historically. The most infamous example, I don't know if you guys are history buffs, but it's actually Robert E. Lee. Yeah, see, okay. Originally, Robert E. Lee was supposed to fight for the Union Army. Lincoln wanted him. He like almost said yes, but he went with the Confederacy because they were based in Virginia, and so was he. Like, that was it. He picked the bad guys for the commute. He was just like, I'll be racist if I can do it in sweatpants. Like, that's fine. You guys are like, is that true? It's true-ish, all right? Shut the fuck up. It's debatable whether or not that's true. Why would I make that up? Anyway. No, I miss going into work, even shitty jobs. I used to work at a Goodwill. Do any of you guys? I don't care. No, you know the thing about people who shop at Goodwill is they don't seem to understand where they are. Like, I would have all these customers come up to me. They would find something, right? They'd find a cup or something, and they would go, excuse me, I like this cup. Do you have more of this cup in the back of Goodwill? And then they'd be like pissed when I didn't know. They're like, do you not know what's back there? I'm like, do you fucking know what's back there? This is Goodwill, all right? If I look, I'm not going to find a set of those cups, but I guarantee you, I will find teeth. No, it's a gross place. And I think people are grosser for even having shopped there. Okay, backstory. I used to be one of those people. I felt like if you went to the bathroom and you just peed, right, and all you did was rinse, that's enough. That's how I felt. Whatever. I felt like that until I was at Goodwill. I was in the bathroom. I saw this guy. He peed and then he didn't wash his hands, and I was like, all right, whatever, fine, I don't care. But then he dried his hands. Like, you see why that's a problem, right? In his head, he's like, all right, these are wet enough to dry, but not dirty enough to clean. It was like a riddle. I was like, what's the answer? And he's like, pee. It's pee. My favorite question people would ask us, it was almost adorable. Sometimes they would ask us, they would go, where do you wash the clothes? What a world they live in. I'm like, if you don't wash the clothes, why are you letting us use those changing rooms? And it's like, who told you those were changing rooms? Those are private spaces for the employees to do cocaine on purpose and then fentanyl on accident. That guy's dead, you know? Yeah. I think being in New York, though, was especially lonely over the last couple months. My worst day, I went grocery shopping, and it was like the first day I'd seen anybody that week. You know? And I have a wagon that I use to carry my groceries. Shut the fuck up. I have a wagon that I use to carry my groceries in. Okay, that's what I have. And I was on the way home, and it dawned on me, I don't know why this is, but for some reason, like walking by yourself is one level of loneliness, but walking while also pulling a wagon, it's a whole nother thing. I don't know why. It's sort of like walking a dog, but like the opposite. You know, it's very sad. And you just want any interaction. You know, someone's like, "Hey," you're like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Move your wagon." I think the quarantine actually set me back a bit socially. I'm a very naturally shy person. I've been working on it for a long time. When I was younger, I got all these self-help books to get over my shyness, which I think is like the shyest approach to getting over that, you know? I thought it would work, though. You know, I'd buy a book, and then I would go back in my room and read it for a couple of weeks, and I'd come back out and be like, does everybody like me yet? And they'd go, not really. And I'd go, okay, and I head back in, you know? And then the advice was weird. It'd be stuff like practice eye contact, which I think people can tell when you're practicing on them. You know what I mean? They're talking, and I'm just like, can I help you? And I'm like, you already are. More than you know. And you don't want to be one of those people that like listens too intensely. You know, I used to work with a bunch of these sort of bro-y sales guys that would do that. You'd be talking, and they're like, I felt it was intimidating. I felt like I had to amp up the story just to match their listening. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yeah, the other day I was eating this muffin, and I thought I had blueberries in it, but then I looked again, and the guy's like, what was in it? And I'm like, bullets. Bullets was in it. It was shot. My favorite piece of advice from the books, and this actually was pretty good. It was like a memory trick. You know, they said when you meet somebody, if you want to remember anybody's name, the key is that you have to repeat their name back to them, like within the same conversation when you meet them, and then you're more likely to remember. And that actually works. You know, so let's say you're at a party, right, and someone comes up and they're like, "Hi, I'm Lauren." You could be like, "Hey, I'm Lauren," and then you'll remember that is Lauren, and she'll remember you too. Like, I didn't like Nick. I don't know. Something, I don't know. My girlfriend and I used to always fight about this kind of thing because I'm not very social. I never wanted to go out and do stuff, and she did, does, but she was so upset one time. She like insisted we go to a concert. She was like, "We're going to a concert." I was like, "Fine, you win. I'll go to a concert. Pick a band. I don't even care." And she got us tickets to see the band Fish.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, then it turned out I did care what band. You guys know the band Fish. If any of you guys don't know the band Fish, they're like a jam band, right? For very old, dirty hippies, and then also young people who on the weekends like to pretend to be hippies, but then during the week they go back to Northrop Grumman to make the missile skill harder. You know? But mostly the hippies. And the thing with Fish is all their concerts go on for just a notoriously long time. And it's because they understand that everybody who goes to a Fish concert lost custody of their children several years ago. So they have nowhere to be. We were there, and this isn't even exaggerated, we were there for over 5 hours, and we got there late and left early. And we still found a 5.5-hour window. As we were leaving, my girlfriend's like, "When do you think the concert's going to end?" I was like, "I don't think it will." She's like, "When do you think it started?" I was like, "I don't think it did. I think there was always Fish." And then one day, a fed-up New York City built Madison Square Garden around it to, like, keep it in. You know? But I was in the blast zone. This sounds like hyperbole, but I have actually been to funerals that I preferred to this Fish concert. Well, have you guys been to a funeral? The eulogy parts are sometimes pretty good.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's kind of the talent portion of the night. You know, it's fun. You guys are pulling back. Look, just to be clear, I did go to a funeral. I have jokes about it, but this is not a COVID funeral. Okay, this was pre-COVID when funerals were so cool and fun, you know? Anyway, so I'm at this funeral. Really good eulogy. But there was a baby crying during the eulogy, and it was making everybody mad. Even though all the adults were crying too. I don't know. It dawned on me, the problem wasn't that the baby was crying, it was how the baby was crying. Right? Because the baby was like, "Ma," and everybody wanted to hear adult tears. All right? Stop that baby from crying. I'm trying to hear these men cry. You know? But like, I don't know. I was glad the baby was crying like a baby. And not, like, could you imagine how creepy it would be if there was a baby that was crying like adult, serious tears? You know what I mean? The lady is holding the baby, and the baby's just like... Right? People wouldn't know whether to give it food or, like, space. Like, is he hungry? And they're like, I think he's divorced. I don't know. That looks bad. You know, my girlfriend and I, we are... She is much more adventurous and all that than I am. Even she likes to role play during sex, which I don't. I think sex is already fun. It doesn't need it. You don't need to add all the pretend if it's already fun. Like, have you guys ever been skiing? That's pretty fun. You don't need to add a bunch of like, I've never been at the top of a slope, you know, about to go down, and I'm like, all right, for this run, I'm a nurse. You know? You don't need it. Anyway, I think you can tell how different we are by the pets we chose to adopt. She rescued a dog. So I even feel weird. Is it still rescuing a dog if the place we got the dog from is way nicer than where we brought her to? Like, we got her from this farm in Virginia. Imagine like, I don't know, the perfect place for a dog to live, right? That's where we got her from. And then we brought her to our, 600 square foot New York City apartment. And we're like, welcome to your new home. Now shut the fuck up. We have neighbors. Stop wagging your tail. They can hear that. I didn't rescue a dog. When I was a kid, I bought a tortoise. Yeah. Thank you. I noticed quick, people are not as excited when you buy a tortoise. Like when you rescue a dog, they're like, oh, here's a new member of your family. When I bought the tortoise, all the people at PetSmart said to me was, hey, don't put this in your mouth. All right? It's a choking hazard, and PetSmart is not liable if you choke. I remember when we got the dog, we're on the way home from the rescue place, like, oh, I think I already feel a connection. When I was a kid on the way home from getting the tortoise, I was just like, I think I can put this in my mouth. Fuck them, I can put this in my mouth. I won't choke. Yeah. Everybody's all excited about the dog. Oh, you can play with the dog, and they're so fun. You can play fetch. They do all this. There's stuff you can do with a tortoise that you can't do with a dog. Fun stuff, like you can ship them in the mail. Did you guys know that? You can do that. It's fun. You go in your room, you're like, where's my tortoise? Oh yeah, Redmond, Washington. Fun. And also, you can too play fetch with a tortoise. Okay, you can. You just also need the dog. You're like, all right, dog, go get the fucking tortoise. Yeah, you can do it. I get why people feel that tortoises are boring. They are, in truth, they are. Because if they don't want to do anything. Sometimes I'll take the tortoise out and I'm like, do whatever. You know what a tortoise does if you let it do whatever it wants? All they want to do is just walk straight. That's their whole goal in life. And then if there's something that prevents them from walking straight, like a little obstacle, they don't even give a shit. They just like give up. I'm like, you could probably just go around that. And they're like, you know what? Career's not everything. All right. The best part about a tortoise, you don't have to train a tortoise. When we got the dog, she used to pee on the floor all the time. And I read online that the trick is, or the reason they're peeing is because they're too excited, especially when you get home. So one thing to do is, for the first 5 or 10 minutes when you get home, just like pretend you don't even have a dog, which was terrible advice, right? I would get home every day and just be like, whose fucking dog is this? You can't leave dogs, please. No, we even tried, so that didn't work. We tried taking it to a PetSmart, like puppy school thing. And that was even worse because it was supposed to be the intro course, but all the stuff they were teaching the dogs was like tricks. Right, so the first class, they taught the dog waving, and then later it was like bowing. Right, so the dog would still pee on the floor every day The only difference was afterwards it could be like, ta-da! You guys were such a fun audience. I have been Nick. Thank you guys for coming. Give it up for your host of the